Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online. G'day, I'm Fletch and welcome. Today we're on the premises of the Frank Pace International Truck Collection. There's a bit of a club-only gathering on here today, so I thought I'd come along and share some of this day with you in this week's Classic Restos on the road. Now, Frank Pace has been very supportive of Classic Restos ever since I filmed his trucks at his place almost 10 years ago. And what Frank has created in here as an extension to his personal truck collection is outstanding. Now, Classic Restos has filmed here before. You may remember this. And here's the gentleman we blame for such an establishment, Frank Pace. Welcome to the show, Frank.
Thank you, Fletch. Always been a follower, mate. It's people like you to keep the history of old trucks going. I respect that.
Well, thank you. And you've been a supporter for a long time. Not the easiest guy in the world to try and track down. He's a very busy man. You've always got agendas. You've always got something going on. For the past few years, it's been this place here. Absolutely amazing. But before we start talking about the collection here, I know from the past episode of Classic Restos, I was at Frank's place with his private collection of trucks. Well, since then, he's still got some at home, but there's this new location. We'll get to that in a moment. Have to talk about the truck behind us, Frank. This is where it all started with you. It's a 1953 International. It was getting towards being an old truck when you bought it. Tell us the story there.
Well, being the son of a market gardener, lived out west in the western suburbs of Sydney, left school at an early age. My dream didn't have a lot. All I wanted to do was drive a truck. And when the old man got this truck, I fell in love with it. I used to wash it, paint the wheels, and when I could, I'd learn to drive it, and I drove vegetables into the market, the Haymarket of Sydney. And that was basically my life. And since then, well, I put it aside for a while. We stood on it. We built chook sheds. We did everything on it. Then I decided to restore it, to bring it back to its original condition.
It's got plenty of cousins in here. I just cannot believe you look along the line of internationals here, all painstakingly restored. This stage of your career, where you're at in your life now, you must be proud. You must be very proud of what you've got here, Frank.
I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the people that I've got working with me, because through them, I keep going.
You're a good man with a big heart. You've helped a lot of people. You support a lot of things. And I think a reflection of your contributions is coming back to you here with this place. What's the plan? What do you have in store here?
Well, my initial plan was to have a museum where we could get maybe some retired people to come and, man it, and have a couple of guys keep restoring, and whatever proceeds we've had would be enough to supply that, and any extra would go to a charity.
So what we have here today are blokes showing up with their trucks, the Western Sydney Historical Truck Club, and organised by David Chapman, or Chapo to many. Occasions like this also reflects the passion that Frank has having them here. For his mates and international trucks, I can see how Frank was hooked. The early 1950s was an exciting time for international trucks, built in the all-new Dandenong plant, Victoria. It was the era of Frank's truck, brand new, that was subjected to vigorous and arduous testing, trying to wear out the trucks, and definitely wearing out the test drivers as they rotated in shifts to keep up the pressure. These early 1950s international trucks, the same as Frank drove, went through some of the most intense truck testing that Australia had seen at the time. Corrugated dirt roads mile after mile, dusty conditions trying to block air cleaners, axle strength testing until they snapped, over 100 clutch dumps in sand, back and forth testing axles, diffs, universal joints, tail shafts, gearboxes, clutches, engine mounts. Side wheels to prevent rollovers were fitted during figure 8 testing, another grueling test for front suspensions. These were the trucks that Frank drove new. I'm sure you have a better understanding now for why he liked them so much. With me now, the organiser of today's shindig, Chapo, Dave Chapman. How are you, buddy?
Well, I'm not sure if I organised it all, just everyone turns up, Fletch.
You've got to go along with it because that's what I've told everyone.
Yeah, well, okay, I've helped organise it anyway.
Now, I know I've always got to get Dave in the headlock for these interviews because he can't wait.
Yeah.
As soon as he hears Fletcher's coming along, he just has to be interviewed.
No, I don't. I just want to get out of the road, hide from Fletch.
It's actually the opposite. He's hard to get hold of.
Yeah.
Dave, tell us a bit about today.
Oh, well, it's just a collection of all our old bits and pieces, and Frank's invited us over here for a breakfast sort of run, like coffee and cars, but it's coffee and trucks and a few cars. And yeah, and you've turned up. How good's that, Fletch? Hey?
Oh, thank you, Chapo. But we Frank's real estate here, it's quite incredible too, isn't it?
Well, you won't see this. This is as good as you'll get in the world anyway. Frank's a really great bloke. I've known him since, well, probably since I was a young bloke, actually. Now I'm an old bloke. And yeah, his love of old international trucks is, mate, better than anything I've ever seen.
Well, what gets me too, the early 50s international trucks where, well, Frank cut his teeth on, out of the Dandenong plant in Victoria, and how iconic that those trucks became, and the testing that International put their trucks through back in those early days to make them the great trucks that they were.
They were great trucks, all right. My first truck was a 4070 cab over International, Transstar. Used to do tar cutter changeovers in it and scrap metal for one of my mates who's here today. And yeah, they were just built tough.
What I like about yourself, you've had over 300 Kenworths yourself. I know you love Kenworths. If you cut just there, Kenworth would pop out. But what I love, Chapo, is the fact that you've got an admiration right across all the brands. If it's a truck, you appreciate it.
No, I love them. Yeah. Well, I don't think my wife loves them all. She's had a ride in her third ride in a Kenworth today, since we've been together since we were 18 years old. And as you say, I've had hundreds of trucks.
So you've had 300 Kenworths. It's her third ride today. So that averages out about every 100 trucks she gets in.
And we live 5 minutes away too, so it wasn't very far to drive here today. So it was a good drive, and it was a nice smooth T900 Kenworth. So it's been around the world, this thing, but yeah. She thought it was a lot better than the last 69 model cab over Kenworth that you've actually been in too, Fletch. And it's still got the gauge missing in the dash, mate.
Chapo, the T900 behind us, she's a good old girl. What can you tell us about it?
Well, I think it was the last one that Keith's equipment, that were the ultimate customiser in trucks, that was the last one they restored for a bloke, Albert Hunt, I think.
This is the one that Debbie rode in? And
yeah, this is the one. Yeah, third
one of the 100th Kenworths that she's been in.
Yeah, she liked this one a lot more than the 69 cab over.
Tell us about the distances, the places this particular truck has been in its history.
Well, I think this truck was mainly just Eastern Seaboard truck. So it was doing, the Melbournes, the Brisbanes, all that sort of thing. I didn't know a lot about it until I bought it off one of our customers. But yeah, she'd been around, Fletch, and she was a beautiful truck in the day. And the fella who restored it for Keith's equipment, he's actually here today. So how good's that? And he said that was the last one. I said, yeah, before he passed on.
Tell us about engine and driveline.
It's a 500 Cummins electronic, 18-speed gearbox, and 40,000 pound diffs on airbag. Yeah, a real highway truck, just a highway.
And back in its day, big truck in its day.
Oh, yeah, 1993 or whatever it is, around there. It was a big truck, mate. If you had one of these, you'd made it.
Before you go, tell us a bit about your club.
Oh, the Western Sydney Historical Truck Club, mate. A couple of blokes started it way back, and they're here today. And yeah, it's just been a great club. Probably 300 members. Probably one of the biggest vintage truck clubs in Australia. Yeah, we love it. we're all getting older. It's a bit of a problem, so we're trying to get all the young blokes in. And we see a lot of young blokes here, and they're actually saying hello to Fletch as well. So there you go, eh?
Young blokes relate to the young blokes, right?
Yeah. Well, even Fletch just made him a hamburger on the barbecue. Good on you, mate.
Chapo, it's always great to catch up with you. A bit of a bonus today too, because we got you before you've lost your voice.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to lose my voice today, mate. No way. No, we'll
Cheers, buddy.
We'll see you in September, mate, at the Classic. Okay, good on you, mate.
Thanks, Chapo. It's always a pleasure, mate. Keep up your great work for the entire trucking fraternity and everything that you do, okay?
Yep, no worries. Thanks, Fletch, mate.
When I was a kid, I loved cars. Still do. The 57 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham was the most advanced car in the world. Cost more than a Rolls. Hand-built with a stainless steel roof, cruise control, electric seats, and would you believe, air suspension. American iron. It's a passion Shannons understand. That's why they insure my daily drive, the caddy, my bike, even the house.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
When it comes to cars, there are some brands that will remain with us forever, no matter what. The Holden was always Australia's own car, held high in the hearts of many. Those lines, that chrome, the stories around them, and the people that owned them. From the classic through to the final, you can still trust in genuine Holden and AC Delco parts, available through the Holden Certified Service Network. In 2024, why not consider a Detroit tour with Fletch? Detroit, the automotive epicenter. It will leave you gobsmacked. Imagine experiencing where automotive history on a grand scale began. Stay in fine accommodation, taking in some of the best museums and private car collections on the planet. Book your 2024 Detroit tour with Fletch. Email fletchtours@mail.com. Years ago, it wasn't just the American trucks and the British trucks that made inroads into Australia. The Japanese had a red-hot go as well. Typical Japanese reliability with this Toyota truck here, a 6000 series. How are you, Bruce?
I'm going great, thanks, Fletch. Yes, and yourself?
Good, thanks, mate. Great. This is a beautiful truck. I like the look of this.
I did too. When I went to buy this, I didn't go out to buy this particular truck. I was looking for a Dodge or an Inter to put a 41 Jeep I've got on the back of it. And it was sitting in the paddock for sale, and I thought, geez, you don't see many of them around anymore. Yeah. So I went and seen it was for sale, and I bought it. And then the first trip I done down to Lockhart in it, I pulled up with and I must admit, there was more grey undercoat than there was red. And I pulled up at a service station in Wagga, and the servo bloke standing there looking at it, and he said, well, I can still see she's still in factory colours, mate. So that made my day, so I got a coat of paint on it and a few lines and scrolls, and yeah.
Bruce, the look of the truck, it's got a certain stance about it. I just think it looks very cool. It's almost like looking at a Japanese classic car here. You know, you can tell it's a Japanese truck. They've just got that look about it. Now, tell us about engine and driveline, what this truck has.
It's a 6.5 litre diesel, 5-speed, 2-speed vacuum-operated rear end, vacuum over hydraulic brakes, just a good old reliable truck.
Bruce, a testament to the Toyota reliability as well. You told me before the camera was rolling. A matching numbers truck, so that's a lot to be said for that.
Well, it was unusual, and I never noticed it when I first got it, but then I looked at the rego papers, and I noticed that if the engine number is, say, the 69324, the chassis number is 69324. That's the way, and it was very unusual to have a truck engine in the truck chassis with matching numbers.
And back in the day, typically, where would you have seen this truck operate? What was the volume of their work?
Out west on the cattle stations, a lot in outback Queensland, a lot in Northern Territory, and over in WA. And like I said, anybody that had anything to do with them knew that they were a good old reliable truck and give very little trouble. So
good on you, Bruce. That's awesome. Thanks for bringing it along today. It's something different. Something different, isn't it? Yeah, and hang on, Bruce has got more to show us.
They were ahead of their time. This is a 65 model, and this is a centrifuge. There are no oil filters in it. The oil filter themselves are a series of plates with holes in them. So you just take that apart and wash it out in petrol. And this is a centrifuge that spins around, all the carbon sticks to the outside from the oil. When you give it an oil change, you take that apart and you scrape the carbon from the oil off the inside of that. And it's a 6.5 litre, 2 heads. Then that's about it. It's 6.5 litre diesel and very reliable.
And moving along as we do, truck here, a little bit of bling, beautiful Ford, 1966. How you doing, Ross?
Good, thanks, Fletch.
This is a standout truck. As a kid growing up in the early 70s, I can remember these hardware stores, brick trucks. Yeah, big, up there with the Dodgers as brick trucks. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a 66 model, same age as me. It originally came off a farm. I don't know too much of its history beyond that.
Ross, before the truck was restored, do you have any idea of the condition? What was it like?
The truck was pretty much how it was when I got it. I haven't painted it. I've done a lot of the line and scroll work, some of the lights, the horns, mirrors. I've just blinged it up a bit.
Yeah, you've done a great job. Standout truck. Now, those of you that are into your Falcon, your Ford 6-cylinder engines, you're going to love this. 300 cubic inches, and have a look at this 6. You can still see aesthetically same look as the 6-cylinder engines in our Falcons, but it is bigger, it's taller, got a larger sump, it's got side plates there to get to the hydraulic lifters.
Yep. Yeah, it's a fair bit bigger than a Falcon engine. It is 300 cubic inches, which is about 4.9 litres.
Yeah. I just think it's great because we've got a truck with a beautiful body, standout, bit of bling, the chrome, the red, the scroll paint, just real traditional. And then that classic 6-cylinder engine that just worked so well in these Ford trucks back then.
They were a very, very, very bulletproof engine, that 6-cylinder Ford. They were quite renowned for being quite bulletproof.
Inside, we look at the interior, the big marble wheel. That's a big wheel going on there, Ross.
We've just had that done. Pearlcraft, as you can see. That's done a nice.
So you don't need power steering with a big wheel like that. That was the whole geometry. This is the older things had big steering wheels because they thought, we'll give it big wheels and make them turn in. I mean, your arms couldn't keep up with the amount of turns required in the steering box.
So get your tummy out of the way.
Right. Yeah.
Well, luckily mine's not too bad.
No, you're all right. No, you're going okay. But that big wheel sort of sets off the interior, just gives it a bit of an upmarket look, so to speak.
Bling. Bling, as we like to say.
Yeah. Now, were these Ford trucks available with single bogey and a prime mover? I like to ask that question because, okay, we've got a rigid here, about a 7-ton?
Yeah, it's a bit less than that. I think it'd be about a 5-tonner. I think might be. I'm not actually sure, to be honest. But don't put much of a load on it. But it's probably around that. You could get them in prime movers. Some of the bigger ones came with a diesel engine. Obviously the 8000s and 7000s.
Because they used to sit high with bigger front wheels, and they were the interstators, weren't they?
That's right. Back in the day, big bit of gear.
All right, Ross. Well, thanks very much for your time, mate. Love the truck. Stand out here on the gravel here at Frank's place. I just had to get you on the show with this truck.
Thanks very much, Fletch.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
You too, Ross. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.
My passion for cars began when Nana and Pop bought their new Toyota Crown. It was Nana's, really. She loved that car. We went everywhere in it. My passion now is just the same, even though my cars are a little different. I've still got Nana's car, couldn't part with it. And I reckon if she was here today, she'd be insured with Shannons too.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
They may not be making the classic Holden anymore, but the legacy lives on. You can still have a Holden certified service using genuine Holden and AC Delco quality parts at over 180 centres across Australia. Go to holden.com.au to find your nearest centre. Book your Holden in, maintain the pride. And of course, if you own a classic, it just has to be insured with Shannons. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646. And the Shannons Club awaits you. For more information, visit shannons.com.au. G'day, Gary. How are you, mate?
Not bad, Fletch.
So, mate, 1974 KMR Bedford.
Yep.
Now, the cab, they set up high. They made the interstators out of these. Any difference between the cabs on these and a TK Bedford?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of difference. You got a 70mm lift for the GM motor, rather than the 400. 466 Bedford motor. Yeah, they had the twin bumper bars, twin headlights, so they were set up for interstate work.
Interesting question that, Gary, because TK Bedford, more the smaller of the truck, very similar type cabs, but we've got something pretty special under the cab of this one. Would you like to elaborate?
Well, yeah, it's got the V6 53 Detroit diesel two-stroke. This one's rated at 210 horse. It's got a 10-speed gearbox with the 2-speed rear axle.
You enjoy driving it?
Oh, of course, mate. Yeah.
It's like music. You don't need a stereo in these sorts of trucks. You got the pipes.
That's right, yeah. If you had a radio, you couldn't hear it. It'd just be there for looks.
So, Gary, history-wise, can you tell us what this Bedford has done in terms of territory, areas that it's worked in the past?
Well, I haven't got a great deal of knowledge on it, but the bloke who I bought it off said it belonged to Holden because they had the first 17 or 20 that they made, and they used to use them for carting cars around on car trailers and parts deliveries, and I believe this is number 4.
Isn't that beautiful information? And with General Motors Australia being attached to Classic Restos as proud advertising sponsors, one of these trucks that carted the Holdens around in 1974, that is fantastic history, Gary.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So originally a Victorian truck?
I would say so, out of Dandenong, yeah.
How long have you had it?
About 10 years. It took an 8-year period to rebuild it from the bare chassis rails. Yeah, this is its 4th year on the road.
So, Gary, on that note, thank you for coming along today, helping to make this day here at Frank's Place for the club as good as it's turned out, mate. All the best.
Thanks very much, Fletch.
You're welcome.
Good on you, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Well, today's been, to me, a bit of a dream coming true. Sorry, mate, I get a bit emotional. That's what it's all about, to see, you know, all your old times, all the people that I've met over the years. And I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to invite them into my dream. I can't say much more than that. Like, I get a lot of satisfaction out of today. You meet some beautiful people, you hear a lot of stories, a lot of tales, and it just revitalises you on my beliefs in life. I wanted to make it like a museum for the public, but I never thought it'd be as good as it is. I think it's wonderful that they didn't, because I can invite the people that I want to invite. And if one day, eventually it will be a museum, because common sense will prevail. And the area is expanding, and it'll get a reputation by itself. I think people will want to have it. But in the meantime, I'm having a lot of fun. Yeah, today, once again, like, I belong to the club, and we hold our annual meeting here every year. We have a do, and it's got bigger and bigger, and it gives me great satisfaction to see all the members, and it's getting recognition, and it's so lovely that we all meet here every year now. It's become an annual event, and to have you come along, Fletch, on the day, has been a milestone that I won't forget, and hopefully we'll see it's something that won't die, so it's a real privilege for me.
When you look around here, it's an emotional place. And I believe that emotion comes from Frank's vision, his love for the international trucks and trucks in general. And it started right here with this model in 1953 that Frank drove every day as a young fella, and the passion just grew and grew and grew from that point. This is the Intershed, created by Frank. It's here for now, and it's here for our future. And as I say at the closing of each episode, until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch. Thanks for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Classic Restos TV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online.